Entitled Neighbor Wants Her Kids in My Garden, by usernbrudependant. So glad to have found this subreddit, because I have a legit crazy neighbor with boundary issues. I, 29F, don't have any kids, but have my younger sister, 16, living with me for around 10 years, and we have a trampoline still in our back garden from when she was younger. Neighbor to the left of me, has 4 kids, and moved in a year ago. 2 weeks ago, Glasgow started getting really good weather, so the kids have been out playing constantly, not an issue. They asked if I could let the kids use the trampoline one day, so I was like sure, but only for a bit because I have friends coming over for some drinks. 7 p.m. comes, I ask them to go home because my 5 friends have shown up, and we're going to be drinking. Cue the crying, they leave the garden upset, but hey, that's not my issue, they've been on it for 3 hours at this point. Their mum pops her head out her bedroom window and asks if they can stay in the garden longer. No. I'm not your babysitter. She's annoyed but drops it. Last week, I come home from some shopping, and to my surprise, find all 4 of the kids in the garden, plus their younger cousin. Ask them to leave, tell them they can't just come into my garden without me there, and they didn't even ask. They refuse to leave, so I shout up at their mum and tell her to get them out the garden. She says let them play for a bit, you don't even use it. Okay, but still, not your garden? Eventually we get into an argument, and they leave. She's pissed off and shouting saying I'm being a Karen and I should let them in. I tell her not to ask again because the answer will be no. This happened again the day after, all 4 kids plus their cousin, waiting till I move the car from the drive and heading straight into the garden. So I wake up this morning. I've since put a lock on the trampoline, just a small one on the mesh safety enclosure to stop them opening it up, cause I'm petty AF. Plus it's Saturday, I'm not working today, my day off, and I want a long lie. But no, neighbor decides that at 9 a.m. this morning, her kids are being fired straight out that house with breakfast bars and a bottle of water, and they head straight into the garden. So I can hear them from my window, I look out and tell them to leave. By the time I get downstairs, Mum has descended from her house, and is trying to climb the fence between our gardens, shouting about how I used to let them use it and she's going to call the police for hitting her kids. Great, you do that. I'll be sure to show them the Ring camera footage, which coincidentally also has footage of your husband picking the lock open so your brats can use the trampoline. So long story short, entitled mother send her kids into my garden repeatedly even after being told not to. Calls police on me for harassment and hitting her kids and ends up getting her own husband arrested for theft and housebreaking, and criminal damage. Suck it, bitch. Edit, some people have if I could sell neighbor the trampoline. She has a V-shaped garden and the smallest one on the street, the trampoline is 12 feet and wouldn't fit. Also gave her a bunch of my sister's old stuff when she first moved in, but have barely interacted with her since this. Edit 2, decided that it's not worth the hassle. 10 minutes ago, 9:50 p.m. here in the UK, I took a knife and slashed the part you jump on. Brother is coming on Tuesday to help me dismantle it, and we will take it to the local recycle center. Mormon parents made daughter, 15, sign a contract in order to get a phone number because she got a job, by user Sharks4nh. Super long story short, my parents are on more of the extreme side of Mormonism. So much so that when I, 19F, moved out the day I turned 18, I had members from my ward asking if my siblings and I were okay. A few weeks ago, my sister got a job from a company owned by Mormons and is heavily supported by Mormons. She then had enough reason to demand a phone from my parents so she could get the job. Fast forward to today and this bullshit is happening. I don't know exactly how it went down, because me being an ex-mo, I'm not allowed to talk to my siblings much, but I do know that she wasn't allowed to disagree at all with anything or the deal was off. This is actually pretty tame compared to what it was like growing up. Mom threatened to have the pantry padlocked. Sister got infection for not being given medication. I was told I'd be pulled from school and college if I didn't conform to their religion and to their practices. We dealt with racism, sexism, anti-vax, anti-gay, and so much more. I have a ton of stories I could share, I just thought this one was a good eye roll and laugh. Back to the contract. I agree with some of the rules, I just think it's really weird to make a whole ass contract. Face with tears of joy, face with tears of joy. There are things like I will not look up porn. I will not receive naked photos. When I am 14, I can add friends to the phone but they may not be the opposite sexual orientation, they meant gender. They would go through phones whenever they want even when I was almost 18. If she violates any of the 22 rules, she loses the phone more and more each time. If it happens a fourth time, she loses it permanently and they will send her to a very bad therapist. I don't want anyone thinking she a bad kid. She's absolutely not. She's actually really good. Straight as, nice to everyone, just trying to get through life with our parents. Now that I escaped my parents, I know they will never change since everything has gotten worse in different ways. I just want my siblings to be able to get through everything with as little damage as possible. Dad expects me to pay a full month of rent when I'm moving out the first week of the month, by user Euphoric Apricot 3867. Long story short, I got pregnant. My dad said if I'm pregnant he doesn't want me to live at home anymore. Great, I understand that, so I start applying for places. I am getting approved for a 2-bed apartment and am expected to move out the first week of May. So of course I tell my dad my success expecting him to be happy for me. However, I was met with him saying, well, you're making at least 3x the rent to get in your own place, you can pay me rent. My bills don't stop because you decide to move. I offered to pay $150 to stay for the first week of the month and he threw an absolute fit about how he expects rent or I need to be out by the start of the month. Well, Dad, you'd be able to afford your bills if you didn't waste your money on pot, alcohol. Pretty sure that $300 a month I give you would be subsidized by acting like an adult, but whatever. I really expected him to be proud and happy for me, but I guess I was wrong. I'm 4mo pregnant and my mill is overbearing, by user Leather Variety 3964. So this is my first baby and I'm 4mo pregnant. My husband is an only child and his mother is being way over the top to the point I think she feels she's having a baby. I get she is excited, but I recently discovered she has a whole room decorated for the baby, Moses basket, baby clothes, ones which I wouldn't buy myself. She said she is changing the furniture to baby-proof the house, etc. I recently asked her to stop buying baby stuff because as it's my first baby I want to be the one who picks out their first outfits, colors, styles and baby products I use. She reacted okay, but since then she's ignored my requests and continues to buy things saying she'll keep them for the baby at her house. Here's the thing, her and her husband smoke heavily in the house. Me and my husband are not comfortable with the baby being in the house whilst this is happening. My husband is yet to have that conversation with her because he's worried about upsetting her. Secondly, I don't want my baby having overnight stay at anybody's house, even my own mother's house, for at least a year. I am getting extremely overwhelmed with how much she thinks she will be taking care of my first baby. I don't know how to bring it up because my husband doesn't know how to set boundaries with her. I don't want to fall out with him or her, but I also need her to understand that this is my baby, not hers. How do I go about this? Has anyone else been in a similar situation? Update: sister and mom demand I take the baby 3/7 days a week, by user SatanFister0218. So, thank you everyone for the continued support dealing with my oh so amazing family. Starting with the baby and grandparents going for adoption. That didn't happen. They did sit them down and gave them a hell of a talking to. My sister even apologized for trying to ding-dong ditch the baby. However, she does still pawn the potato off pretty often between our mom, daddy's parents, our grandparents. I am still fairly low contact. I have even babysat the little potato and oh my god, is that potato easy. Zero crying, 100% giggles and smiles and grunts until I get things right. Mom, oh boy. She's a post all on her own. She has gone batshit up the wall over the last few months towards me. She hates me, wishes she aborted me. How I'm nothing but a fuck up, etc. She has shown up on my front door and has tried camping out just to get a shot at being in my face or trying to claw younger sister back down. We have been in contact with the police, as well as some extra security around the house we could manage. She caught me one day a few weeks ago after a pretty rough day and her and I had it out on the front porch. Have not seen or heard from her personally since. Younger sister is living her best life right now, I think. She's head over heels for a very nice young man, graduating this year. We applied to universities together. She did decide to speak to a therapist about things just to kind of ground herself, and she's doing great. All in all, pretty successful so far. But also, please do not cross-post or repost any of my stories to other subreddits, YouTube, TikTok channels, BuzzFeed or anything else, please. This goes for all comments as well as previous updates and original posting.